Hey everybody, I'm Topher, and you are here. I am here with my friend Scott because I want to learn something from him. And he makes a plugin called Pods. And my first real contact with WordPress was 2.9. And I was an accomplished PHP MySQL developer, and I looked at WordPress and I thought, you know, it'd be cool. And I didn't know the phrase at the time. What I wanted was custom post types. So I went looking, assuming they were there, and the only thing I found was pods. And my lack of WordPress skill made pods feel overwhelming to me. So I just thought, well, no, I just can't do this right now. Then post types came out. My head wrapped around them just fine. I ran down that road. And I never tried pods again. And it's been more than 15 years since that experience. And it's still around and doing well, which tells me that it's not a fly-by-night thing. It's not something that was killed by custom post types. So it must still be cool. But I don't know why it's cool. So, Scott, why is pods cool?
Let me first ask one quick question. When was it that you had looked around at custom post types and you saw pods? Was it like right when they released the feature for custom post types, like the actual
No, it was
feature?
before.
Before that.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months before 3.0 came out.
Okay, all right. Then that sets me up for exactly how I answer this.
Okay.
So the question is, what you said? Why is pods so cool?
Yeah, why is pods cool? Why would I use pods instead of post types, etc.?
So the cool part about pods, one of the main cool parts is when we started pods, it actually was the first, as far as I could tell, on the WordPress.org repository, one of the first custom post type plugin for WordPress that leverage custom post types. There were things like Flutter and other custom right panels where you could like kind of customize the UI, but it wasn't really using the real underlying post types to store the data.
Okay.
And when pods came around, we had actually done that, and we didn't store all the fields in custom fields. We stored them in a table. So every post type had a table, and then it would have its data in it. And then they came out with custom post types, and the APIs really expanded. And here's why I wanted to start here is because immediately, instead of that killing what we were doing, it actually made it better. Because now we could expand how we were doing what we were doing. We could also take what we had eventually over period of time between when we started pods and custom post types becoming a thing, we actually diverged because we weren't really sure what was going to go on with custom post types. So we took it into it like, okay, your content types, these are entirely separate from custom post types now. So like we eventually migrated it, the underlying data. And so at the time, that custom post types came out with WordPress. As a more official feature that's like blessed, hey, you should use this. Pods was not using custom post types at that point, and it was a great moment for us because we were able to say, okay, we have this feature, and actually we like it is because there's some really cool things about having it outside of a post type in general. Right. But what if we built in support for custom post types too? And that led to the big refactor into Pods 2.0, which was 2011, 2012. And that big revamp, it took a long time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of time. And eventually we were able to build not just support for custom post types, but we said, hey, why don't we add fields to everything else? So I was like, I want to add fields to users' profiles. I want to add fields to comments and add fields to media attachments. I want to add fields to terms and wherever else I can add fields to. And this was a big deal because, well, for terms at least, we didn't really have term meta yet, so we could add fields to terms. And had fields to all those different areas. And so the TLDR answer is, why is Pods cool? It adapts, and it expands on what you could do by hand with code. And because we had shifted to support more things in WordPress, it became more powerful. Over time, we've added more features to the plugin itself to support more use cases, more different types of content, different field types. We've always had a open source mindset. All the code that is released, of course, is GPL compatible or GPL licensed, but it's also community centric. So what you see is essentially the result of everyone pitching in. And there's a little bit of a tent in the middle of this project. It's what is now called the Pods Foundation. That's an organization that takes in, it's not nonprofit because that would have taken more money and paperwork, and it's complicated because we're in a weird tax status right now between the state of Texas and the government. The state of Texas, we filed for formation of it as a nonprofit, but at the U.S. Government side, it doesn't see it as a nonprofit. So it's like
weird,
kind of odd. So we can take donations and all that, but it's not tax. You can't write it off for your taxes. You can't deduct it. But yeah. So this tent here in the middle is the foundation, and it's an organization in which we have people that sponsor and people that donate annually or monthly or whatever, one time as best as they can, and that tent helps to continue building the main part of Pod, saying, as long as we've got donations, there's going to be someone keeping the lights on, someone working on this stuff, which ends up being me. And then what I do with that money is I don't necessarily take income from that money, because it's not really a lot of donations or sponsorships right now. We take that money and we say, okay, well, I take that money and I say, I need help with support. So I hire other folks to help me with support here and there on a monthly basis, so that I can have help, because I can't get to everyone's issues all at once, because it's used right now by 100,000 sites. And that's been kind of steady for the past 4 or 5 years, 100,000 sites. We haven't had money to spend on marketing. We haven't had money to invest in a big marketing campaign or ads or anything like that. Everything we've done has been entirely bootstrapped, saying, hey, we're just going to build something fun and cool, and maybe people will like it, and maybe it'll help other people. We use it on our own projects. People that contributed to Pods, all the people that use it, that contribute to it, have used it on their own customer projects. And so we're building things and fixing things that we see and all that. So that's really the origin story of why Pods is cool, is because it's very much at the ground level, at the Topher level, at the whoever else might be just picking up the plugin on WordPress.org level. We're right there with you. We're not just trying to make a bunch of money commercially. The flip side of that is I built some premium plugins that aren't really I can't stick all these huge features into Pods that are integrating with certain page builders out there, like Elementor, or all those things. So I built this kind of separate thing, because of this tax status is weird with Pods Foundation, SKC Dev, and that has some premium plugins available to it. But the way that dot or that line is connected is it's more like a kind of slashed line, dotted line between the two. It's not a straight line, because all the money I get from the SKC Dev side of things goes towards developing those things. And it's not huge, and I don't put money towards marketing. I've actually operated the same way as I operated the Pods Foundation. Just one is for profit and one is functionally non-profit, not technically at the government side. So I don't siphon away the money from the main project to support my big business. It's not big, and it's not uh, super driven towards commercial success. It's all about, I want to build these
Right.
cool things. Some other people want to help pay for it. So sure, here's this. I built this. You want to pay for it? It's this much. Use it. I'll
Right.
continue supporting it. You find issues, I'll fix it. I'll add integrations, and I'll make sure it's compatible with latest versions of other page builders. All that takes time,
Right.
and it's easy to wrap up and say that's how much this is worth. But a bunch of these features don't actually belong in Pod's core because they're
Right.
complicated or they're related to other premium plugins out there. I don't want to
Sure.
like really stuff all that stuff into the core
Yeah.
pods. So that they're entirely separate things, but because there is a monetary component of like this, the pro plugins for that I built for pods,
Right.
WordPress.org doesn't consider it a community plugin per se.
Ah.
So right now I think it's it's not even labeled as commercial either. So it's just kind of an in between state.
Yeah.
I couldn't get them to approve the setting it as a community plugin because
Gotcha.
of the separate premium
What's a community plugin?
revenue stream. A community plugin on WordPress.org is a plugin that has no premium anything, no premium support, no premium add-ons, anything like.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
All right.
But the difference is that on the, 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently I haven't talked today. Yeah. So the difference though is because Pods has a link to the premium add-ons to
Yep.
like raise awareness about it. They consider that the red line, and you can't have that. It's not.
Yeah.
It's no longer a community plugin. So it's a community plugin in my eyes. It's the only one like it that is entirely community focused that is doing what it's doing.
Right.
And we're competing with, the big players like Advanced Custom Fields.
Sure. Yeah.
With no money, no marketing, and yeah, they have 2 million active installs. We have,
100,000.
100,000. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to be competing against that when I'm just a one person trying to do my best.
Sure,
and
yeah.
make good things for everyone else.
Okay, so I love custom post types. That's really what made me a WordPress developer because when they first came out, I understood them and most people didn't. And so they paid me to do it, which is great. So what would incentivize me to switch to pods?
So when you're building your custom post types, you're using PHP, like register post type and things like that.
Yeah, these days I'm actually more often like I like Metabox.
Okay.
And they've got a builder. I use it.
Do you build it and then export it to code, or is it you still use the builder and the UI and everything?
Depends on the client. If it's a low budget, low impact, I just leave it in the GUI. If like I'm building for an enterprise client or something, then I export it and put it in Git and the whole 9 yards.
You export it to code that is entirely WordPress vanilla WordPress, or is it exporting to code that will use Metabox but without the UI admin?
Right now, like with Metabox, it's the custom. It's not vanilla.
Okay. All right. So,
although they might allow that, I don't do it.
I want to show you this real fast.
Yeah. Oh,
this is a comparison sheet. I mean, you might have seen over the years. It's a comparison document that. Let me share. There we go. It's a comparison document that compares all the different custom post type plugins and custom field plugins for WordPress itself.
I have never seen this.
The results of a lot of time researching the plugins, and then a bunch of plugins have been added over the years that we've had plugin authors also take a look at. But essentially, it kind of lists, okay, is it a free version or the premium, whatever, and a lot of plugins like this one, like ACF, it's a free plugin, but you can buy the pro version for additional features. The Pro version, essentially, once you install it, is the same as the free plugin, but with a bunch of things added on. So it's a separate plugin, a Pro version. Then there's plugins like Metabox, which are the free basics, but then you have add-ons you can install that add additional features into it. There's plugins like Custom Post Type UI, which is free, but then you can also add money into your bucket to buy some premium add-ons as well on that side.
Right.
And the story is very much the same for a bunch of different plugins. I mean, there's a lot. Then there's some that I've kept track of older ones just to keep them listed that are no longer available. There's also premium only ones that are in this sheet, but for the purpose of what I'm explaining here, what was
premium only?
Toolset, Jet Engines, Crock-a-Block, GD Content Tools, Masterpress. I don't know if you remember that. It was a few years back. It still is maintained as of at least last year. And getting these dates is kind of hard because I have to look for change logs, and that's not always easy to get.
Right.
But yeah, there's a few of them out there, and every time I hear someone talk about something, I'm like, I don't have that in the list. I'm gonna go add it. Like I just added one in November, another one in November.
Oh, wow.
So that was, let's see, I can't recall which one it was. Oh, it was this one, WPCMF. It's a composer package.
Okay.
So it's a composer library, not a plugin. I added that one as well. But so this sheet kind of updates some stuff dynamically from WordPress.org's APIs themselves, also from Tide and other things that we can connect to try to get stuff. And then for Git-based ones, it pulls from GitHub releases and gets some information from that. It has a list of active installs and other information. But for the purpose of Metabox, you're referencing being able to export to export to code for use without the plugin or without the UI. So a lot of this stuff is code-based. Some of it, like some of their add-ons allow you to add it with the UI. But I wanted to note this because there's an important distinction between what a plugin like Metabox, ACF, or Pods are doing to give you a bunch of features that are actually not inside of WordPress itself. You already know that. Like there's things that aren't in WordPress core. Those UIs that manage the fields and content types, they're not in WordPress. The UI to display those fields in those editors, they're not in WordPress, even though there are some new things coming down the line that allow us to build the UIs for things. They're not essentially in there. You can't just register with code and then just appear. There's effort to be done to register it and to connect all the dots. So Pods and ACF and all those things do the work for you. They do the heavy lifting so that all you have to do is you click a button and you can add a field, and you click a button, you can add a post type, and you don't have to worry about all the defaults. You don't have to worry about kind of managing the code. But there are options for ACF, for Metabox, for Pods, for a bunch of other plugins out there in which you can export, or even without, some plugins don't have an export feature, but you can still register stuff at the code level. So Metabox, you have that ability. You can stick it in the Git, and it will be you'll be able to version control your field configurations and your content type configurations. And the same thing is for Pods. There is a little bit of a trickiness here, like for Metabox, they do allow you to export some stuff to code without a plugin, but they don't give you the features. So it's really you can register, you can export to post type or a taxonomy, but it's like, we're going to give you the most basic post type and taxonomy from WordPress core, nothing else that we add on. So they're kind of giving you like, here's a way to export it to vanilla WordPress if you want. Just the content type configuration and only the configuration parts that are considered part of WordPress core. So nothing that they've added on as functionality around the post types or taxonomies. Pods doesn't have that kind of feature to do that, but it does have the ability to register as code through PHP, through JSON, YAML, XML, I think, even if you really had to go deep into the darkness of that. So it does have that ability to do that kind of thing. So that part is good. but you talked about how you're using Metabox and like what. So why would you need something like pods?
Right.
The answer, and we can mic drop this moment. You don't. You're using Metabox. You're fine.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about switching to pods. I'm not trying to sell you on it. I'm not trying to say, hey,
Right.
the only plugin for you has to be pods going forward. But I will tell you about some features that are kind of cool that I enjoy, that I feel like this distinctively make pods stand out.
Okay. Go for it.
So there are some features in this doc that because every plugin does it differently and they label it differently, and I've tried to like generalize certain features and kind of what it's called and explain what they are, yes or no, if they have a integration with it. So like some plugins can do custom post types and custom taxonomies. Some of them can override post types, the labels or arguments. Like you can take over a post type that's been registered by core and change something around.
Okay.
These plugins don't do that right now. You can add custom tables as a content type.
Right.
Stuff like that. So, but one of the things that sets pods apart is this part right here. Let's see if I can even remember it's docs. Compare content types. Maybe it'll find it when I do a search from the 404. Oh, it remembers. Okay.
Nice.
So inside of WordPress, you got post types, taxonomies, media, users, and comments. So what Pods does, it will extend those things. It can also add what we call advanced content types. This is what I referred to way back in the start of the chat here, where it's entirely its own separate, isolated database table. So what happens when you outgrow a post type and the meta fields that you're storing it in, and how do you deal with? Let's say you are a up and coming Jigo shop fork that has lots of products, but more importantly, people are buying those products, so they have tons and tons of orders. What do you do with those post types? Well, you end up creating a new table to store that data, because the post type meta structure does not scale great when you're dealing with scale, especially when you're not just scale, but you're dealing with shared hosts, and you're dealing with hosts that have to be able to run a bunch of stuff with low memory and all sorts of stuff. So you go the table route, and advanced content types is kind of built as that exact use case. When you need a table that is entirely separate from WordPress, but it has the UI of WordPress, so it feels like it's part of WordPress. You're managing your content, and it still feels like it's in the WordPress extended universe, and that's what that is meant to do. It doesn't come with a bunch of the features that post types has or taxonomies have. You can kind of see here the X's. There's no excerpts or featured images support. There's no post formats or status workflows. A lot of this stuff is not built in, but you could build it yourself if you wanted to. It's just a bit of PHP code, or to extend the UI, or to build your own forms. But it does build your admin area, your UI to manage the content, and it does allow you to create or customize that admin UI. So that's a really big pillar of Pods that's actually not part of, if you look at the demo, it's not part of the initial install. You have to enable it, because what we do a lot of times in support is people will, before we had this disabled by or enabled by default, this used to be part of it. We made it into a component where you had to enable it. But before this, they would go add a content type, and they're like, oh, what do I need? Oh, I need advanced content type. That's what I need. But they wouldn't think about it. They wouldn't know.
Better, right?
Yes. So they wouldn't know. And so they would go add this, and they'd have a table, and they're like, but I want all these features of post types. And we're like, well, we'd have to help guide them towards, there are tools to convert between content types, which we provide. But it's one of those support areas where we're like, this is a problem. Let's kind of hide this a little further and make it a little more intuitive, because they don't have to choose between whatever this is. They're looking at WordPress stuff. So when you're creating a content type, you would normally only see these three things. So you can say a custom post type, you can say what, or a custom taxonomy, or a custom settings page, or whatever. You would be guided through that flow before you ever realize, oh, maybe I need to expand further. Maybe I need custom tables. Can I do that with pods? And yes, they can. And then they enable it and they find those things. So this is kind of like a little barrier to prevent people from choosing the wrong one up front. Because I've experimented with like this view. Like, what if we took them through a wizard where it says, what content type do you need? Explain what kind of content things you need. But that's a burden. Because then they have to think about like, what is a excerpt? What do I need those? I think so. And so they start checking stuff they don't need, and then and so you kind of don't want to go into the weeds. You want to kind of allow them to grow with you. So the flow is kind of like that. But this advanced content type flow, let's take a look at this one. You can say I'm making a new table, and boom, it's done. I have a new table in my database. It's got these table columns in it. It's got a name, created, modified, date, author, and permalink. This is enough to create a UI on the front end with a little bit of work, not too much, but a UI that will automatically display the content and give you like the bare essentials of a content type. It doesn't build the UI for you. It doesn't give you archive pages. It doesn't do that stuff. That's part of post type. So this is like, at this moment, it's a new table, but more importantly to think about, it's a new data type. So it's a data type. So you're going to store data in this. What kind of data do you want to display? How do you want to display it? You want to list it? All those features are built into pods, and there's like a whole other area on the docs page about how to display it with short codes or blocks or whatever code, PHP templates. We have a thing called pod templates you can do. Easy stuff, but it puts the power into your hands. You say, okay, what do I want? Okay, I'll build that. Instead of how do I integrate this with post types and taxonomies? I have like a million record table. How do I make this scale? All those things like that kind of are taken away, and now you can focus on exactly the use case you want to use. And you might not even want the UI. You may just want to store data in here and interact with it at the PHP level. So you have a lot of flexibility to do that kind of stuff.
All right,
so that's a big feature that I would say is like kind of sets pods apart. But right here, you can see custom tables. You could do that with MetaBox. You can add custom tables with MetaBox. You can also do it with ACF. You can do it with CMB2. So it sets us apart precisely because it was where we kind of started. And most of our code base is built around supporting it, so it's not like added as afterthought. Like how do we add a new content type into our API? It was already there. We built post types and taxonomies as equals, so everything is an equal in pods. Every content type has the same exact underlying API to interact with it. So if you want to go pull data out of it, you can use our pods API to like pull data out of a post or a table record or a user or whatever. It's all the same exact API. The same thing with displaying. So that's why it's actually a big pro for us. Even though other plugins will do it, we treat it as an equal content type in our plugin.
Yeah. Okay. That's really cool. So what I'm hearing is that if you're deeply invested in something like ACF or MetaBox or whatever, maybe you should stay there because that's what you're good at. But if you're looking for something, Pods is, I'm going to say old, but I don't mean it in a bad way. What do you?
Original.
Term for?
It's original.
Original.
It's original, yeah.
Yeah, but more than that, experienced.
There you go.
There's a long-term culture of stability and growth and understanding, so it's an exceptionally viable option for this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's almost, a year and a half, 2 years younger than ACF. Yeah. But when ACF came out, Elliot's forte was UI. So that's Pods was growing and growing, and then ACF came out and it had like the UI that like simplified everything. Yeah. And didn't make you think about the developer choices and was like, don't care about content types. Add a MetaBox, add a field wherever you want. And it Pods is very much, what kind of content do you want? ACF is like, what kind of field do you want? And so they're two different kind of mindsets. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like the data oriented things tend to sway towards developer, like hardcore developers who are like really interested in that kind of stuff. There's lots of developers using ACF that also are fine with that. But from my perspective, if you think about the content type first, I find that a lot of everything else, you don't have to worry about migrations as much because you've thought about the data types first, and you didn't have to then be like, well, I added this field, now I need this other field, and then I need this thing, but then I need to change it all. And then how do you do that? Because if you think about the content type, you're thinking about everything top down to the bottom all at once. So I think that won out because it was just easier and it was really beautiful UI.
All right. Well, that's really cool. You answered my questions. If you would, stop sharing so I can see your face before we say goodbye. I mean, I can see your face, but, you know. That was awesome. That helps me understand better. Like I said, when I first tried it, I wasn't able to wrap my head around what we were even trying to do. And now that I understand how the database structure of WordPress is and what it means to add a new table and stuff, I'm much more able to understand. I remember when BuddyPress switched from custom tables to have everything be in post types. And then I remember when they said, oh, that was a bad idea, and switched back. And the idea of being able to use custom tables for stuff, but still do it the WordPress way, is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I mean, for a while there, it was pretty dicey. You couldn't get people to accept tables. They were like, I don't want custom tables. Why would you want a custom table? So we actually in Pods had to push towards meta. So like even our configurations, we used to store them all in tables. Now they're currently stored in meta because we wanted to support WordPress VIP, WordPress.com stuff to get Pods on there. And then, I mean, ultimately, like there we are in table land again. And well, what did we do that for? So eventually we'll have to migrate everything back over to tables, so it's better and more performant. But just lessons learned over time. People finally followed our lead, even though we had to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all I have to ask. Thank you for your time.
No problem. And if you ever want to dive into Pods more, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's like 4 or 5 other pretty big standout features that I bet you'd be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
can you bullet list them? Like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but name a feature. So one of my favorite parts of more recent versions of Pods is our relationships. Our relationships, like I said, our content types are equals. Our relationships are also equals. So like when you relate to one object, like a post, or relate to a term or whatever, they're all treated equally. I don't know if have you used ACF before? Yeah.
So like you can add a post field or you can add a term field, and but they're kind of separate, and they've been doing more things lately that kind of brings things more aligned, but Pods has always been equal across the board for all the related objects. So it's kind of cool because you can do the same thing, again, the same API underlying it. And part of the relationship, so the first bullet point is relationships. The second bullet point is database queries. So you can traverse into relationships. So I can look up, like we were just looking at books, you can look up a Topher, the user's favorite books genre. So Topher likes books from this genre. And I don't have to look up all the books and then pull all the genres. I just say, give me the genres, the list of genres for his favorite books.
Right.
And it's done. So there's some really cool things with traversal that we really pioneered. There is another feature from the more recent version of Pods, which is called flexible relationships, which lets you add and edit objects directly from an existing post. So like you're in a post and you want to add a related book, you can say add new, and it opens in a modal, and it's like here's the add new book form, and you can add the fields, hit submit and save, and then it will set, and it's now set in your post where you have a related book, and it's actually like it's all like magic, and it shows up into your post in the field itself already populated as a related item. So you can add it right there, or you can hit the edit button and change more details about it, save it, and then it's updated there too. So the add and edit flexibility there is really cool because it works with all the WordPress forms, all the screens. So it's pretty cool that we were able to make that happen. Yeah. Because that then unlocks the ability to do what a lot of people tend to use loop fields for, is they want to have the ability to have like unique. Well, in ACF, there's a flexible content repeaters, like where you can have a almost like a loop field, but it changes depending on a field. So maybe it's a book loop, maybe it's a magazine group, but they change based on that. What Pods does with flexible relationships kind of negates the need for some of those, because you can add a relationship to a book instead of having a book like here's all the books I'm relating to with all the fields I have to enter in this big bunch of list of fields. Now you have a related object in the database that you can then query on and do all sorts of other things with. Yeah. And then also pass along access. So someone can then say, oh, I'm just managing all the books, I don't have access to posts or whatever. Like then you have real related objects. So that's a big part. Those three things are all relationship focused. But I would say those are like just the tip of the iceberg in Pods between that and the database queries and the migration things we have built in that it lets you migrate between content types. There's just a lot of things that are pretty cool that maybe float your boat if you get excited about those things like I do.
Yeah. Data nerd.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for your time.
No problem at all.
I will see you later.
All right, later.
As always, be sure to leave questions and comments in the comment section below.